The truth is that when I sit with my therapy or coaching clients, I become very, very aware that one, their adverse circumstances are very real. Two, they may not have great options and they do have hard choices. And he says three, and here's the important part, they have more choices than they think. So once again, I want to make it very clear that you probably feel very trapped, and you may very well believe that you are trapped. And I'm not trying to diminish your feelings of being trapped, but there are reasons why I believe that it makes a lot of sense that there are options that you probably are not thinking of. When you are under stress, your brain literally stops working correctly. And before I go further into the bad things that happen to your brain under stress, it's really important that I also mention that there is actually something called good stress. The easiest way for me to distinguish between good stress and bad stress, and this is my simplified, boiled down version, so go and look it up yourself as well. But the easiest way I think to distinguish between the two is that they are both challenges, but good stress is a challenge that you have chosen, that you want. Bad stress is a challenge that you didn't choose. So good stress is actually good because it starts creating new neural pathways in your brain, and it's those situations where you perform, when you do something really well. Bad stress is a challenge that you do not want. So if you're watching this video, we are definitely talking about challenges that you do not want. Over time, there are things that can happen to your brain under chronic stress. Some of these things include the dying of brain cells, shrinking of the hippocampus, repatterning of the gray and white matter in your brain. There are some other things as well that you can research. I'm trying to point out that you are losing your ability to make logical decisions and to make great decisions if you are under so much stress that you feel trapped. Here are some symptoms of stress: constant worrying, racing thoughts, forgetfulness and disorganization, inability to focus, poor judgment, being pessimistic or only seeing the negative side. So does this make sense under the belief that you feel trapped? If you already believe that you feel trapped, if you already believe that you are trapped, which you may have reason to believe, if you continue to believe this for a long time, you are going to start to have negative thinking where you can only see where you're more likely to see only the negative sides of things. So this is why it's really important that when you are under chronic stress, that you don't only listen to yourself. If you are in a really negative place, it's really important to start looking for outside perspective. This is why it can be really valuable to talk to someone like a therapist or talk to a life coach. It doesn't have to be a life coach. It could also be a good friend. I would recommend it being a friend that you have history with and that you trust and that you can predict to be a good friend, because newer friends, you can't predict them to be good friends all the time. A really valuable tool can be getting a sheet of paper out and writing down all the things that you believe are limiting you. And then you break that one down further, explaining why. I can't do this because of this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And then you start to try to look at it with a different perspective. Like, what if there was a solution? And if you really just can't come up with a solution, that's when it's useful to have this list when you talk to other people. Say, hey, I can't think of a way to get myself unstuck from this situation. These are all the reasons why. And you have concrete reasons why, and people can come up with concrete alternatives. Someone once told me that stress is like carrying around a basket of stones. So it can be really easy to want to just tackle all of the little stones But if you tackle the biggest stone first, you're going to feel the most weight lifted off of you. You're going to feel the most relief if you tackle the biggest stone. I like to take this metaphor further because I believe that sometimes you can find that sweet spot in the stone, right? If you just keep tapping away, if you keep knocking away at this horribly scary, heavy stone, and you keep chiseling away at it from different angles, eventually you're going to find that sweet spot where the stone crumbles, where the stone cracks. Maybe you don't talk to a therapist. Maybe you talk to a financial advisor. Maybe you need to find your nearest social work department. If you can't come up with an answer, you need to ask someone else for help. And if the first person isn't helpful, you need to ask another person and another person and another person. And sometimes, yes, sometimes the answer is simply a change in your perspective and the way that you're seeing your problem. I really want to address the importance of finding ways to conquer your stressors, because if you're watching this video, I know for a fact that you are not about to get eaten by a lion, and I am 99.9% positive that somewhere there is an answer to your problem. I really want to go into the importance of this before I go into ways that you can complete the stress response cycle, because you can, tell yourself, okay, I'm not getting eaten by a lion. It's just this horrible stress that I feel at work. And you can develop a sense of safety when you're home. If you can temporarily remove yourself from whatever it is that's causing you chronic stress, that's really good to do. And it's really good to take brief breaks from whatever is causing you chronic stress and take that time to complete your stress response cycle and build your resilience. But it's very likely, if something has been a chronic stressor and put you in a depressive state, that you will not be able to leave this depressive state until you conquer this stressor. The more you are able to remove your stressor, the more you are able to move on to step 3 of completing the stress response cycle, which is realizing that you're safe, and you'll be able to do it in a genuine way.